25 Genius Vicks Vaporub Hacks. Our grandparents knew that will blow your mind and make life easier. Do you remember that distinctive blue jar that seemed to cure everything in Grandma's house? Before modern medicine cabinets overflowed with specialized remedies, our grandparents relied on simple, versatile solutions that actually worked. Today we're exploring 25 incredible Vicks Vaporub hacks that previous generations swore by, tricks that will absolutely transform how you use this humble ointment. Let's start with relieving cough and cold symptoms naturally. This might seem obvious, but our grandparents perfected the art of using Vicks for respiratory relief in ways many people have forgotten. They didn't just slather it on and hope for the best. The technique involved warming the chest area first with a warm cloth, then applying Vicks in a specific pattern, starting from the center of the chest and working outward in circular motions. They'd use about a tablespoon's worth, massaging it in for at least 3 minutes until the skin felt warm and tingly. The key was applying it not just to the chest, but also to the upper back, between the shoulder blades, creating what they called a vapor jacket. They'd then put on an old cotton t-shirt, preferably one that had been warmed on a radiator or in the dryer. This method was so effective that many families avoided doctor visits entirely during cold season. The menthol, camphor, and eucalyptus oil combination created a powerful decongestant effect that lasted through the night, clearing stuffy nasal passages instantly. Our grandparents discovered that placing just a tiny dab of Vicks right at the base of each nostril, not inside, but on that little divot between the nostril and upper lip, created an immediate clearing effect. They called this the mustache method, and it worked because the vapors rose directly into the nasal passages without irritating the delicate membranes inside the nose. Some would even mix a small amount of Vicks with hot water in a bowl, drape a towel over their head, and breathe in the steam for 5 to 10 minutes. This technique was particularly popular during the 1918 flu pandemic and continued through the Great Depression when doctor visits were a luxury. The trick was using just enough to feel the tingling sensation without overwhelming the senses. Many grandparents kept a small tin of Vicks diluted with a bit of petroleum jelly, specifically for this purpose, making it gentler for frequent use, soothing sore muscles after hard work. Long before expensive sports creams existed, farmers and factory workers discovered Vicks was exceptional for muscle pain. They'd heat the jar slightly by placing it in warm water, making the ointment easier to spread and more penetrating. The application wasn't just a quick rub. They'd spend 15 to 20 minutes working it deep into sore muscles, especially after a long day of physical labor. The menthol created a cooling sensation that distracted from pain, while the camphor improved blood circulation to the area. Railroad workers in the 1940s were known to carry small tins of Vicks specifically for their aching backs. The technique involved applying a thick layer, covering it with a warm, damp cloth, and leaving it for at least 30 minutes. This created what they called a Vicks compress, which was remarkably effective for everything from strained shoulders to aching calves, easing tension headaches without medication. Your grandmother probably knew that Vicks could knock out a headache faster than aspirin. The technique involved applying small amounts to 4 specific points, both temples, the center of the forehead, and the base of the skull where it meets the neck. They'd use their index fingers to massage in tiny circles for about 2 minutes at each point. The cooling sensation, combined with the aromatherapy effect of the eucalyptus oil, provided almost instant relief. During the 1950s, this was such a common remedy that many women kept a small compact of Vicks in their purses specifically for headaches. The key was using very small amounts, about the size of a grain of rice at each pressure point. Too much would cause eye-watering and discomfort. Some would also apply a thin line along the hairline from ear to ear, creating what they called a headache band that provided continuous relief for hours. Treating athlete's foot effectively. Before antifungal medications became readily available, Vicks was the go-to remedy for athlete's foot. Our grandparents discovered that applying it twice daily, morning and night, after thoroughly drying the feet, could clear up even stubborn cases within 2 weeks. They'd pay special attention to the areas between the toes, using a cotton swab to ensure thorough application without cross-contamination. The thymol in Vicks has natural antifungal properties that they didn't fully understand scientifically but recognized through results. Coal miners in the 1930s, who frequently dealt with fungal infections due to damp conditions, would soak their feet in warm water with Epsom salts, dry thoroughly, then apply Vicks liberally before putting on clean cotton socks. This routine became so standard that mining companies actually provided Vicks as part of their first aid supplies. The treatment extended beyond just application. They'd also put Vicks inside their work boots to prevent reinfection, preventing and treating toenail fungus. This remedy was particularly popular among soldiers returning from World War II who had developed fungal infections in tropical climates. They discovered that filing the affected nails slightly to roughen the surface, then applying Vicks directly to the nail and surrounding skin every night before bed, could clear up fungus that had resisted other treatments. The process required patience, often 3 to 6 months of consistent application, but it worked. They'd use an old toothbrush to work the Vicks under the nail as much as possible, then cover with cotton socks. Some would add a few drops of tea tree oil to enhance the antifungal effect, though pure Vicks was usually sufficient. The key was consistency and making sure to treat all affected nails, even those that appeared healthy, to prevent spread. By the 1960s, podiatrists were actually recommending this home remedy to patients who couldn't afford prescription medications, moisturizing and healing cracked feet. During the Great Depression, when specialized foot creams were an unaffordable luxury, families discovered that Vicks could transform even the driest, most cracked feet. The technique involved soaking feet in warm water for 10 minutes, gently removing dead skin with a pumice stone, then applying a thick layer of Vicks all over the feet, paying special attention to the heels and any cracked areas. They'd then put on thick wool socks and leave them on overnight. By morning, feet would be noticeably softer and cracks would begin healing. Farm wives who spent long days on their feet swore by this treatment, often doing it twice a week during winter months when skin was driest. The petroleum jelly base provided deep moisturization, while the menthol and eucalyptus promoted healing. Some families would mix Vicks with a bit of baking soda to create an exfoliating paste for particularly rough areas. Treating chapped lips in winter. Before lip balm became commonplace, Vicks was the winter lip savior. Our grandparents applied just the tiniest amount, literally what could fit on the tip of a pinky finger, to chapped lips before going out in cold weather. The trick was to apply it at night primarily, as the menthol could cause tingling that some found uncomfortable during the day. They'd often mix a small amount of Vicks with honey to create a more palatable lip treatment that children would tolerate. During the harsh winters of the 1940s, this mixture was so common that many families kept a separate small jar specifically for lips, often adding a drop of vanilla extract to improve the taste. The camphor helped heal cracks, while the petroleum base provided a protective barrier against wind and cold, repelling insects naturally. Long before DEET and other chemical repellents, our grandparents discovered that mosquitoes, flies, and other insects absolutely despised the smell of Vicks. They'd apply small amounts to pulse points, wrists, ankles, behind the ears and the back of the neck, before going outside during summer evenings. Farmers would even dab some on their horses and cattle to keep flies away. The eucalyptus and menthol created an invisible barrier that insects found repulsive. During summer camping trips in the 1950s, families would place open jars of Vicks around their campsite perimeter. Some would mix Vicks with citronella oil for enhanced protection. This method was so effective that military units stationed in tropical areas during World War II were issued Vicks as part of their mosquito prevention kit. The key was reapplying every few hours as the scent dissipated, healing minor cuts and scrapes. Before antibiotic ointments were widely available, Vicks served as the household wound treatment. After cleaning a cut with soap and water, our grandparents would apply a thin layer of Vicks and cover with a clean bandage. The camphor acted as a mild antiseptic, while the petroleum jelly kept the wound moist, promoting faster healing. They were particularly careful to use clean fingers or a cotton swab for application to prevent infection. This remedy was so trusted that school nurses in the 1940s and 1950s often used Vicks for playground scrapes. The cooling sensation also provided pain relief, making it especially useful for children who were afraid of stinging antiseptics. Families would often keep a small emergency jar of Vicks that was used only for wounds to prevent contamination, reducing the appearance of stretch marks. Women in the 1950s discovered that massaging Vicks into stretch marks from pregnancy could help fade them over time. The technique involved warming the Vicks between the palms, then massaging it into affected areas using circular motions for at least 5 minutes, twice daily. The eucalyptus oil improved circulation to the area, while the petroleum jelly kept skin supple. They believed the camphor helped break down scar tissue, though this was more folk wisdom than scientific fact. Many women would mix Vicks with cocoa butter for enhanced results. This treatment required patience, often 3 to 4 months of consistent use, but many swore by its effectiveness. The ritual became so common that it was often passed down from mother to daughter as part of postpartum care wisdom, helping soothe arthritis pain. Our grandparents with arthritis discovered that Vicks provided better relief than many expensive liniments. They'd warm the affected joints with a hot water bottle or heating pad first, then massage Vicks in thoroughly, spending at least 10 minutes per joint. The technique involved starting with gentle circular motions, gradually increasing pressure as the joint warmed up. They'd then wrap the joint loosely with flannel or wool to retain heat. This treatment was particularly popular during the 1960s when arthritis medications had significant side effects. Many elderly people kept Vicks on their nightstand specifically for morning stiffness. The menthol provided immediate cooling relief, while the massage action improved circulation and flexibility. Some would add a pinch of cayenne pepper to their Vicks for extra warming effect, though this required careful application to avoid skin irritation. Treating coughs in children safely. Perhaps one of the most ingenious discoveries was that rubbing Vicks on children's feet, then covering with socks, could stop nighttime coughing. This technique, popularized in the 1940s, avoided the risk of getting ointment too close to young children's faces while still providing relief. Parents would massage about a teaspoon of Vicks into each foot, paying special attention to the arch and heel, then put on cotton socks. The theory was that the vapors would rise and be inhaled throughout the night while the child slept. Pediatric nurses of that era often recommended this method for children under 2 who were too young for chest application. Many parents reported almost miraculous results, with coughing stopping within minutes. The ritual often became a comforting bedtime routine that children actually looked forward to when sick. Using as emergency deodorant. During the Great Depression and World War II rationing, when commercial deodorants were scarce or expensive, people discovered Vicks worked remarkably well. They'd apply just a tiny amount to clean, dry underarms, being careful not to use too much, which could cause skin irritation. The antibacterial properties of the eucalyptus and thymol actually prevented odor-causing bacteria from growing. Factory workers in the 1940s particularly favored this method, as the strong menthol scent masked any body odor that did develop. The technique required applying it at least 30 minutes before dressing to allow the initial strong scent to dissipate somewhat. Some would mix a small amount of Vicks with cornstarch to create a drier application that wouldn't stain clothing, relieving muscle cramps quickly. Nighttime leg cramps were treated with Vicks long before anyone understood the science behind why it worked. Our grandparents would keep a jar on the nightstand, and at the first sign of a cramp, they'd massage a generous amount into the affected muscle, working against the direction of the cramp. The menthol's cooling effect seemed to interrupt the pain signals, while the massage action helped relax the muscle. Athletes in the 1950s discovered this remedy and would apply Vicks before and after competitions. The technique involved not just rubbing it on the surface, but really working it deep into the muscle tissue for at least 5 minutes. Some would follow up with gentle stretching while the Vicks was still active on the skin. This remedy was so effective that many doctors actually began recommending it to patients with chronic cramping conditions, reducing acne naturally. Teenagers in the 1960s discovered that dabbing a tiny amount of Vicks on pimples before bed could reduce their size and redness by morning. The key was using a cotton swab to apply just to the pimple itself, avoiding surrounding skin which could become irritated. The camphor and eucalyptus had antibacterial properties, while the menthol reduced inflammation. This had to be done carefully. Too much could cause skin peeling or burning sensation. Many would mix a tiny amount of Vicks with their regular face cream for a gentler application. This remedy was particularly popular because it worked overnight, and the evidence would be washed away in the morning, avoiding the embarrassment of visible acne treatments during the day. Preventing pet scratches from scarring. Families with cats discovered that immediately applying Vicks to fresh scratches could prevent scarring and speed healing. The antiseptic properties prevented infection, while the petroleum base kept the wound moist. They'd clean the scratch first, apply a thin layer of Vicks, and reapply twice daily until healed. Farm families extended this to all manner of animal-related minor injuries. The bonus was that the strong scent often deterred pets from licking or bothering the wound. This became such standard practice that many veterinarians in rural areas actually recommended it for minor pet scratches on humans, freshening bathroom and living spaces. During the 1950s, housewives discovered that placing a small dab of Vicks in strategic locations could freshen entire rooms. They'd put tiny amounts under toilet rims, inside bathroom trash cans, or on air conditioning filters. The menthol vapors would circulate and neutralize odors rather than just masking them. Some would mix Vicks with baking soda to create potpourri-like sachets for closets and drawers. This was particularly popular in homes with smokers, as the eucalyptus seemed to cut through cigarette odor. The technique required using very small amounts. Too much would overwhelm the space with medicinal smell. Easing menstrual cramps. Women discovered that massaging Vicks onto the lower abdomen and lower back could provide significant relief from menstrual cramps. The technique involved lying down with a hot water bottle first, then massaging about a tablespoon of Vicks in circular motions across the entire lower abdomen. The menthol provided a cooling distraction from pain, while the massage action helped relax cramping muscles. Many women in the 1940s and 1950s preferred this to taking medication. They'd often follow the application with a warm compress to enhance the effect. This remedy was passed down through generations of women, often as part of a young woman's education about managing monthly discomfort. Soothing minor sunburns. Before aloe vera became the go-to sunburn remedy, our grandparents used Vicks for minor sun exposure burns. They'd mix it with a bit of apple cider vinegar, creating a cooling treatment that took the sting out of sunburn while promoting healing. The application had to be gentle, patting rather than rubbing to avoid further skin irritation. This remedy was particularly popular at beach communities in the 1950s. The menthol provided immediate cooling relief, while the petroleum base prevented skin from drying and peeling as severely. However, they were careful to use this only for minor burns. Serious sunburns required medical attention. Fixing dry, rough elbows. Factory workers and housewives who suffered from chronically dry elbows discovered that nightly Vicks application could transform the rough skin. They'd scrub the elbows first with a mixture of sugar and oil, then apply Vicks liberally, sometimes covering with old socks with the toes cut off to keep the ointment in place overnight. This intensive treatment would soften even the roughest elbows within a week. The petroleum jelly base provided deep moisturization, while the active ingredients promoted skin cell renewal. This became such a standard beauty treatment that many women included it in their weekly beauty routines, preventing head lice infestations. During lice outbreaks at schools in the 1940s and 1950s, parents discovered that applying Vicks along the hairline, behind the ears, and at the nape of the neck could prevent lice from taking hold. The strong scent repelled lice, while the petroleum base made it difficult for nits to attach to hair shafts. They'd apply it before school during known outbreaks, being careful to use small amounts to avoid greasy-looking hair. Some parents would mix Vicks with regular hair oil or pomade for easier application. While not a treatment for existing infestations, this preventive measure was remarkably effective and became standard practice in many communities. Improving sleep quality during illness. Our grandparents developed elaborate bedtime rituals with Vicks that went beyond simple chest rubs. They'd apply it to the chest, back, and feet, then place a small amount on a handkerchief tucked under the pillow. Some would even put a tiny dab on the upper lip. They'd use specially designated sick pajamas that could absorb the ointment without worry about staining. The room would be kept slightly warm to encourage vapor circulation. This multi-pronged approach created what they called a vapor tent effect that lasted all night. Many families had specific Vicks application patterns passed down through generations, each swearing their method was most effective, eliminating shoe odors. Before commercial shoe deodorizers, Vicks was the secret weapon against smelly shoes. Our grandparents would clean the shoes first, then apply a thin layer of Vicks inside, particularly in the toe area. They'd leave shoes in a warm place overnight to let the vapors penetrate the material. For particularly stubborn odors, they'd stuff the shoes with newspaper that had been lightly coated with Vicks. This method was especially popular among athletes and laborers whose shoes faced daily punishment. The antibacterial properties actually killed odor-causing bacteria rather than just masking the smell. Some would create sachets of cotton balls dabbed with Vicks to leave in shoes between wears. Thanks for joining us on this trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed discovering these time-tested remedies, give it a like and share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe for more household wisdom from yesteryear.